Help us, O God, to be masters of ourselves so that we can become the servants of others. Take our lips and speak through them, our minds and think through them, and take our hearts and set them on fire, for Christ's sake. Amen. Good morning. It's wonderful to be worshiping with you again here at St. Thomas. As I was sitting in this church earlier today, I was reminded of a friend of mine who many years ago in Southern California was showing a friend of hers from England around the University of Southern California. And she proudly pointed to one building and said, "This building is 100 years old." And he said, "Oh, Martha, I live in a house that's 300 years old. And I feel somewhat like that here. This congregation has been such a gift to this community for so many, 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 many years. It's really quite wonderful. And it's been great to work with Joe and Emily and Paul and the whole Stewardship Commission. It's been a blessing and will continue to be a blessing for me, so I'm very, very grateful. This Sunday, we remember those who have gone before us, the ones who have stepped up to follow Jesus and be our examples of what it means to be a disciple. That is what the blessings and woes are about in this part of Luke's gospel, and that is certainly what the last part of the gospel this morning is about. Jesus is instructing all who are listening what they must do to bring about justice and reconciliation. During this challenging time, it would be well for us to remember all the saints in our lives. There are famous ones, of course. Some even have their own feast days. But today, let's remember the ones who may only be famous to one of us and to God. I've never spoken in a church that is literally surrounded by saints. Some of those people who are buried in the cemetery on these beautiful grounds have been saints to some of you here today. Many have served this church and the wider community. Many have been caring parents or grandparents, aunts or uncles, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters. When we think about the saints in our lives, let's remember they were real human beings with wonderful gifts and abundant flaws. Let's give thanks for the gifts and acknowledge the flaws that challenged them and us. Those saints in our lives are part of God's awesome generosity. We learn from them. We were strengthened and cared for by them. Our lives were and continue to be enriched by them. And we will continue to be strengthened by the saints we meet every day. As we just sung, you can meet them in school or in lanes or at sea, in church or in trains or in shops or at tea. For the saints of God are folk just like me and just like you. They are teachers, students, nurses, lawyers, homemakers, police officers, firefighters, all kinds of people being saints in wonderfully diverse ways. In a few minutes, when we offer each other the peace of Christ, recognize we are greeting a fellow saint, and be grateful for the wonderful saints in your life. Paul writes in his letter to the Ephesians, "I have heard of your faith in the Lord Jesus and your love toward all the saints. And for this reason, I do not cease to give thanks for you as I remember you in my prayers. we all need that vision of all of us gathered to sing praises to God and to remember the saints in our lives. All of us, every race, every language, men, women, transgender, gay, lesbian, straight, tall, short, everyone gathered. Oh, what a vision that is. Gathering together to honor God's abundance in our lives and to remember those who have gone before us is another step in our journey to generosity. But why is generosity important? In an article titled From Stewardship to Generosity, Methodist Bishop Robert Schnees wrote, "Generosity is an aspect of character. It is an attractive quality which I aspire to and desire to see cultivated in my children." Those words spoke to me over the past couple of weeks, for it beautifully states a truism about our journey to generosity. Our character can be defined as generous or self-serving. We can reach out to the others in this community for the community's well-being, or we can reach out to others for ourselves and to serve ourselves. Generosity takes persistent cultivation. For human nature and commercial media call us, I believe, to be self-centered and protective of all of our resources. My wife and I have a small patio over which we hang a hummingbird feeder. It was wonderful when we first hung it because so many hummingbirds came to feed at this feeder. And then one day, one hummingbird came and worked to keep away all the other hummingbirds. In fact, this hummingbird worked so hard to keep away all the other hummingbirds that it never left the patio. It would be on a branch over here or a branch over there, but it wanted to make sure no other hummingbird was taking food from that feeder. It couldn't enjoy the world because it was so busy protecting its resource. I found the opposite of that hummingbird's actions in a story Father Gregory Boyle, founder of Homeboy Industries in Los Angeles, tells in his book, Tattoos on the Heart. In 1993, as part of Boyle's preparation to become a priest, he was sent to serve on a prison island off of Mazatlan that the Jesuits have been serving for over 70 years. It is a horrific place where the inmates are fed disgusting food, Boyle lost 40 pounds, and are severely mistreated. Any inmate who breaks the rules is beaten, and the others are served worse food as a general punishment. Boyle gets to know one inmate, Beto, who is quite mischievous, and Boyle writes of him as always longing to dance right near the ledge of danger and dangle himself there in defiance of all reason. One day, Beto invited Boyle to meet him outside the prison warden's garden. After Beto steals all sorts of wonderful vegetables from the garden, they run into the woods, where Beto also produces an iguana, which he slaughters and prepares for stew. He has a pot and fills it with water from a nearby well and puts the iguana and some of the vegetables in. As the smoke from lunch makes its way beyond the trees to inside the prison fence, we begin to receive visitors, Boyle writes. A colono or inmate shows up and asks what we're up to. I watch Beto to see how he'll treat the intrusion. He tells the old man, "We're making caldo de iguana. Join us." Boyle is moved by the ease with which Beto lets this guy in and smoothly adds some water to the pot. The man tells us that he has something back in the dorm and in short order he appears again with a small ball of crumbled old newspaper. He peels it open, and there's a clump of coarse salt he had been saving for just the right moment. Beto tosses it in. Shortly, another invited inmate shows up, and Beto adds again to the simmering pot some accommodating water and more vegetables. This inmate does the same retrieval of the safely guarded ingredient back in the dorm. This time, it's a slightly shriveled jalapeno pepper. It's diced and added to the mix. Others arrive in the same way until maybe there are 8 of us or so when the meal finally gets served. Oil continues, plenty to go around, and just as tasty as it could be. Everyone brought his flavor to the forbidden pot of iguana stew, and keeping anyone away and excluded was unthinkable to this band of prisoners. Alone, they didn't have much, but together, they had a pot full of plenty. I was thinking of titling my words this morning, Are You a Bird Brain or a Calo de Iguana? Those are the options. Do we act like the hummingbird that won't share the bounties she's found, or do we believe in the idea of a pot full of plenty where all can share? Beto and his friends knew that the little they had, they were given to share. Generosity isn't just about our resources. When we are generous, we welcome the stranger. When we are generous, we show mercy. When we are generous, we are workers for peace. When we are generous, we give of our financial resources. Again, quoting from Bishop Snays, there are generous spirits, generous souls, people who are generous with their time, with their teaching, with their love. It sounds more organic, less legalistic, less formal than stewardship. I have to explain to my teenage sons what stewardship means. They know generosity when they see it. We all know generosity when we see it, and we know when we are sharing and when we are holding on too tightly to what we have. Can we be like Beto in Gregory Borrell's story and dance on the ledge and dangle our feet over the vast ocean of generosity? Like Beto, can we jump into that warm sea of generous sharing? Can we leap and invite others to join us? Wow. What a difference that would make in our lives and in the communities surrounding St. Thomas. As we remember all of the saints, known and known only by God, we are called to be one with them and on a journey to generosity. Our faith demands it, and our church can only thrive through our commitment of our treasure, our prayers, our talents, and our labor. The Reverend Jim Clark, rector of St. Barnabas Episcopal Church in Scottsdale, Arizona, preached these words: the need of the church is secondary to our need to respond to God's generosity, both as individuals and as a people. Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher and theologian, once wrote, "Prayer does not change God, but it changes the one who prays." I believe generosity, on the other hand, changes the one who shares what they have been given and can empower God's work in the world. This morning, I encourage you to pray. Ask God to guide you on your journey to greater generosity. I ask you to show reverence for the sacred by supporting your church through prayer, action, and generous financial support. I invite you to contribute to this wonderful stew that continues to be prepared by all of you here at St. Thomas. Amen.